right, we'll start with the Punch this morning. The major story, ASUU strike. NLC rejects Buhari's 2-week ultimatum, insists on protest. The riders, NLC faults 2-week timeline, says 3 days enough to meet demands. Planned protest illegal. Nigerian Labour Congress partisan says government. ASUU says no going back on protest. Aviation workers plan strike. You find this story on page 2. I mean, is the NLC the bone of contention here? They're going on strike.
You can see that the government, the move by the president asking the education minister to intervene and end this in 2 weeks is partly to prevent the planned protests. The NLC is planning to rouse its members, to support ASUU in the solidarity protest for 2 days across the country. And about 40 unions, 40 affiliated unions to the NLC, including the all-powerful NUPENG and the very powerful these days, the Aviation Union, have all indicated interest to take part in this protest, And I think the government is not happy about it. And that's why for the first time in a long time, the information minister came out of his cocoon yesterday and spoke about this. He said that any such strike is illegal, first because the government have no existing dispute with the NLC, and the NLC must be insulated from politics. I don't know why I think this is politics. It's the life of Nigerian students who haven't gone to school because their teachers are on strike. There's no politics here. It's a trade dispute. And that he also said that NLC is even a party in the matter because NLC is part of the tripartite committee that's been meeting with government, so they shouldn't dare. Any such strike is illegal. I think that's a warning to NLC that the police will break their strike if it happens. And then 𝐒𝐍𝐶 aviation minister also said that the aviation sector workers will not take part, that he has their buy that they will not take part. But that's him speaking, because we know that the aviation union have said that they will take part in this. Exactly. And I think beyond whether a protest will happen, because 26th and 27th is just next week, I think government should focus more on trying to end this ASUU strike. I think that's a more important matter in all of this, instead of an absentee minister suddenly coming up to speak and say that the protest is illegal. It appears for me they're majoring in the minor. They're not facing the major issue. They are looking at the smaller, mundane, unimportant issues. If like somebody in the NLC office said yesterday, it's easy for government. 26 and 27 is almost a week away. Yes. They can end this before the weekend. They can break the strike. They can end the strike before the weekend and get ASUU back to work before 26th, and then there'll be no need for protest. And I think that should be the focus. Hold a first meeting, make assurances, let the press know what the government is offering. Do it in such a way that people will know that you're already meeting ASUU halfway. Any protest will become instantly unpopular. But the way it is today, Zainab, that is a mass popular protest that is coming, and the more the government speaks against it, the more unions that will add. I mean, NANS is mobilizing. That's the entire Nigerian students at home and in school. They will mobilize and join this protest. And the moment the government begins to threaten a protest, we just came out of Sri Lanka. We saw how small protests led to people having pillow fights on the president's bed. The president had to flee. What I'm saying is that the moment you begin to stop people from doing what they want to do, especially when they are pushed to the wall, there's a likelihood that there will be a throwback. They will come back at you. And at that time, whatever will happen. So I think instead of stopping a protest, if it's going to happen, let it happen. Don't provide police security to ensure it doesn't get, out of hand and law and order is maintained. But the most important thing now is getting the Minister of Education to get ASUU on the table and dangle carrots at them to end the strike. If the government does that, I'm sure the president will have shown sincerity, and show that his comments 2 days ago is very different from his comment in Daura when he said enough is enough. I think you need to find the balance among these things. But to threaten the NLC, not to protest, I think is attempting to fiddle. Why Rome bombs.
Today is the 157th day.
February 14th. I remember very well. It's a long time to stay at home. Now you're telling me now, Zainab, that people who are supposed to go, Nigerian law school resumes soon. A lot of people will not go because they've not been able to graduate. These are people who have planned their life on the fact that in August this year, I will enter law school. By 1 year time, I'll begin the practice. I'll become a lawyer. Practicing law. But all of this is defeated. And it's not just them. quite a lot of people. Somebody was saying yesterday that he was speaking to some of his mentees, and some of them were already talking about being suicidal because of the ASUU strike. It's making people lose hope for their futures, hope for their current lives, and I think the government should have a very, they should think about this in a way that shows empathy and sympathy to not just the lecturers, but the students, the Nigerian students who have stayed home for 6 months now. When you talk about this, they'll tell you that is it today that there have been strikes before, there have been longer strikes, But the picture, and that's what ASUU President 𝐒𝐭𝐚𝐲 said the other day, the day Nigerian government officials stop sending their children abroad, they will have interest in local education. Because in the last 3-4 weeks, all we have seen is everybody going abroad for their children.
Graduation.
All of them, everybody, even Ngige, everybody's going because they need to go and snap that picture. Very important picture with their children in the school abroad. The other yesterday was Sanusi's Lamido. Of course, it's not in government, but I'm talking about the elite. This is the elite in Nigeria. They find the money, they send their children to schools abroad, and local education suffers. That image is not very good for the country, And I think this kind of anger is what led to Sri Lanka.
That he took over the palace.
They got angry enough to say, Mr. President, stop chopping bread and butter. The bread and butter is too much for you. Let's come and taste the bread and butter. So let's swim in the swimming pool. Let's watch cricket on big screen.
I hope that it's bread and butter.
Did you enjoy this video? Hit the subscribe button for more. Leave a comment and like. Thank you.